Hello everyone. Last time we have completed the first topic from fisheries, that is types of fisheries, which includes the freshwater fisheries or inland fisheries, then marine fisheries including coastal, offshore and deep fisheries, and third type of fisheries, that is estuarine fisheries or brackish water fisheries. Today we are going to continue with the second topic, that is habitat and culture methods of selected freshwater forms. So in inland fisheries or the freshwater fisheries, mainly three type of fishes belongs to the category of major carps such as ruhu, katla and mrugal are cultured or grown for the purpose of fishery practice. So in this chapter, we are going to study the habitat and culture methods of these selected freshwater forms such as Ruhu, Katla and Mrugal, which are of great fishery importance and which can be thus grown or cultured in the inland regions or the freshwater resources including rivers or dams or ponds or the lakes of the inland region or in the terrestrial zone. And thus these three type of major carps which are fast growing and acquires the maximum growth and can provide the uh, considerable quantity of the fish protein or the flesh of the fish in the form of these three major carps, and which can easily grown or cultured in the freshwater resources, and thus it is important to study them with respect to their habitat and the culture methods so as to increase the fishery production in the inland regions or in the freshwater fisheries. So first we'll uh, explain its introduction. The production of the fish in India is low as compared to other countries of the world, though it has enormous potential resources. So already we have explained the three type of fisheries, that is marine water, brackish water or the freshwater fisheries, and this is because the India is having uh, much of the potential, and this is because of presence of the large number of small and large water bodies, inland water bodies or the freshwater resources, together with the estuarine ponds which are situated at the junction of the rivers of India and the sea. And we are well known to the sea, that is a marine water resource which is in the form of the sea coast, and that is found uh, along the entire boundary or entire coast of the India. So India is covered or having the three sides which are covered or possessing the sea coast, and thus there is a tremendous potential for the exploitation or the use of these fresh or marine or brackish water resources for the fishery production. But still, the production of fish in India is low as compared to other countries of the world, though the India is having the enormous potential resources, and this is because of their less use for the purpose of fisheries. India has all ideal conditions for the improvement of the fisheries. It is surrounded by sea on its three sides, and besides have many big rivers, bays, lakes, canals, reservoirs, ponds, tanks, dams and many other waterlogging places. There is a great scope for the further expansion or the establishment of the fisheries in our country, and the government is thus paying much of the attention to it now. So this is what the introduction so as to explain the scope or the importance of the fisheries with respect to the fishery production and the available water resources of the India. Pisciculture is very important. It is not solving the food problem only, but it is a source of employment for the employed one. Development of the fisheries means increase in production and also the exploitation or the use of the production potential of the different water resources. It is estimated about 8.5 million tons of fish is required annually to meet or to satisfy the present day demand of the fish protein in our country against an annual production of only 1.7 million tons. So, it is estimated that the demand or requirement of the fish protein for the human consumption in India is about 8.5 million so as to satisfy the annual requirement of the fish protein, and the fishery production is only 1.7 million. So there is much of the scope or much demand, or there is much of the scope for the fishery production or the development in the fisheries. In India, inland water with the potentialities of fish culture is approximately 2.34% of the total area of the country. In India, inland water potentialities of the fish culture, that is inland water resources. In India, inland water resources with the fishery potential of the fish culture is approximately about 2.34% of the total area of the country. Many of the water bodies remain either unused or not properly used for the fish culture. This is because many of the water bodies remain either unused or not properly used for the fish culture, which want proper scientific management and which want for proper scientific management or its utilization. In recent researches conducted by the Central Inland Fisheries Research Institute revolutionized fish culture in India, and a net production of 85,000 kg per hectare per year uh, has been achieved. So, due to the efforts taken by the researchers or the research activities conducted by the Central Inland Fisheries Research Institute have revolutionized the fish culture in India, and net production of 85,000 kg. 85,000 kg means is 85 ton per kg per hectare per year have been achieved. This is the result of the efforts taken or done by the research activities or the research group of the Central Inland Fisheries Research Institute of the India. The evidence of fish culture in the Indian subcontinent is reported in Kautilya's Arthashastra, written between 321 and 300 before Christ. The evidence of the fish culture means the fish culture or the fishery practice is ancient or is continuous from the old times or the old days or the ancient times, and the evidence of which in the Indian subcontinent is reported in Kautilya's Arthashastra, written between the 321 and 300 before Christ. This indicates that fish culture is flourished at that time even in reservoirs. This indicates the fish culture is flourished at that time even in the reservoirs. The government of India began taking active interest in the development of the fisheries in 1944. The government of India began to take the active interest in the development of fisheries in 1944. Under the present Constitution of India, the state governments, however, assumed direct responsibility for fishing and fisheries in extraterritorial waters and for the fishery research. Means government of India together with the various state government have taken uh, the initial steps in 1944, and this was done uh, with the uh, rule that could be enacted or in a constitution of India. So the government of India began taking active interest in the development of the fisheries in 1944, and under the present constitution of India, the state governments, however, assumed direct responsibility for the fishing and fisheries in extraterritorial waters and for the fisheries research. So these are the efforts uh, or the interest, active interest of the state government and union government for the establishment or the development of the fisheries, and uh, maximum utilization or the exploitation of the almost all water resources, that is inland or marine water resources, and which could be exploited or used for the purpose of fishery production, uh, with all type of efforts, all type of practices which could be practiced and that could be uh, done in India since 1944 for the development of the fisheries or the increase of fishery production, and this can be supported by the different activities such as fisheries research also by the authorities of the government of India or the state governments. The fisheries broadly categorized into two types, namely inland fisheries and marine fisheries. As already explained, as we have already explained, the three types of fisheries, that is inland fisheries, marine fisheries, and the brackish water or estuarine fisheries. So fisheries broadly categorized into two types, namely inland fisheries and marine fisheries. Brackish water fisheries sometimes can be included in the inland fisheries because the brackish water or the estuarine water, which is a mixture of the fresh river water and the sea water. So sometimes the estuarine ponds or the estuaries can be considered as a part of inland fishery or the freshwater fisheries because these are situated at the junction of the rivers and the seas and the oceans. So fisheries broadly categorized into two types, namely inland fisheries or the freshwater fisheries and the marine fisheries, that is seawater fisheries. Now, following description is refer to the habitat and culture methods of selected freshwater forms or the fishes such as Labiorhita, Katla katla, and Serena mrigala. So we are going to study the three type of freshwater forms or the major carps, which are fast growing fishes uh, of freshwater habitat, and thus we are going to explain their habitat and culture methods so as to use them, so as to culture them for the fishery practice in the inland water resources, that is either a river system or the ponds, lakes or the dams, whatever the small and large water bodies or the resources present in a terrestrial zone can be exploited for the fishery purpose, uh, and Usually or more commonly, these three type of major carps are recommended to grow or to culture for the pisciculture or pond culture. So these are of great fishery importance for the pond culture. So Labiorohita, Katla Katla and Serinas Mrugala. So we are going to explain the habitat and culture methods of the freshwater forms or the fishes such as Rohu, Katla and Mrugal. Now first we'll explain about Labiorohita. Labiorohita is the major carp. Labiorohita, commonly called as Rohu, is a major carp, essentially tropical genus, distributed in a tropical Africa and East Indies. Labiorohita is the major carp, essentially a tropical genus, distributed in a tropical Africa and East Indies. It is also distributed in the plains of India. The Rohu or Labiorohita is also distributed in the plains of India except the southern part. About 2 dozen species are known from India. There are about 2 dozen species of the genus Labio are known from India. Out of that, Labiorohita is most common. Out of 2 dozen species of the genus Labio are known or are common in India, out of which Labiorohita is most common. It is commonly called as Rohu. It is commonly called as Rohu. It is found throughout India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Burma. So these are the 4 countries in which it is most common. So Labiorohita is most common and it is commonly called as Rohu and it is found throughout India, Pakistan, Bangla and Burma. Then regarding its habitat. Labiorohita is commonly found in freshwater ponds, rivers, lakes and estuaries. So it occurs or it appears Rohu or Labiorohita is found in a freshwater habitat and is found in the almost all freshwater resources such as ponds, rivers, lakes up to the estuaries and respires by means of gills. Since it is aquatic in habitat, it respires by means of gills. It is herbivorous. It feeds on algae or different type of submerged or the aquatic plants. So it is herbivorous in feeding habit and bottom feeder. It is a bottom feeder feeding on to the aquatic algae and prefers clean water. It prefers clean water feeding on algae and aquatic plants. It frequently comes to the surface to take air in the air bladder. The Labiorohita or the Rohu, since it is a bottom feeder, it usually lives in the bottom of the water resource or the pond or the river, and frequently it comes to the surface so as to replace the air into the air bladder. Air bladder is the accessory respiratory organ, so which can which can acquire the carbon dioxide after a certain period. So as to replace the CO2 of the air bladder, and it will be replaced by oxygen, and thus it comes to the surface and again goes back to the bottom. So it frequently comes to the water surface to take air in the air bladder. Then culture aspects. It breeds or it undergoes its reproductive activities in a flooded river during monsoon period, that is in July to August. So July to August is the breeding season of the Rohu or Labio. Fertilization takes place externally in water. So both adult males and females sheds or release their gametes, that is ova and sperms, into the water, where the process of fertilization taking place in the water called as external fertilization. Female lays about 2 million eggs at a time. The adult female or the mature female lays, single female lays about 2 million eggs at a time. 2 million eggs means about 20 lakh. 10 lakh is equivalent to 1 million. 10 lakh is equivalent to 1 million. So there are 2 million number of eggs are laid by single female at a time in a water. So this is what the fecundity or the reproductive potential of the female of the labio or ruhu. So this is the diagram showing external features of the labio ruhita. The body of the fish. Now we'll explain little bit the external features or the morphology of the ruhu. So the body is streamlined or spindle shaped, laterally compressed, and body is divisible into head, trunk, and tail. The head anteriorly bears the opening of the mouth. Anterior end of the head bears the C-shaped crescentic aperture of the mouth, then follows a pair of nostrils on the dorsolateral side of the snout, then behind which there are a pair of eyes situated dorsolaterally of the head. Then just behind the eyes there is a operculum or a bony plate which encloses a single common aperture of the gills through which respiratory current of water or the water passes out from the gills. Then just behind which there is a pair of pectoral fins called as pectoral fins or a paired fins situated just behind the uh, operculum in the beginning or in the anterior portion of the trunk. Then it also possesses another pair of pelvic fin at the middle of the trunk. Then it also possesses the unpaired fins, that is a single dorsal fin which is situated on mid dorsal of the trunk, and then it also possesses one unpaired fin called as anal fin that is situated just behind the pelvic fin. Then the tail consisting of a tail fin consists with equal lobes or the homocircle caudal fin or the tail fin. Then the body color of the ruhu is a gray with a dorsal half. So dorsal half of the body throughout the length, is a grayish or a reddish in a color, and ventral half is a pale or silver white in a color. Then along the junction of gray color and pale color, there is imaginary line called as the lateral line organ or the lateral line that encloses the receptors which detects wave currents of the water. Means these are the sense organs. Then the entire body is covered by cycloid type of scales. So this is what the external morphology of the ruhu or the labio ruhita, and it grows up to the 60 to 90 centimeter in a length. It grows up to 60 to 90 centimeter in a length and weighs up to full grown specimen grows up to 25 to 40 kg in a weight. So it can grow up to 25 kg. At least it grows when we permit or allow it to grow in a pond water. Then it can grow up to with a weight of 25 kg, and it extends or it grows. Its length is about commonly it grows up to 60 centimeter. But if allowed to grow more, then can reach up to 70 or 90 centimeter length also. So this is the labiorrhea, figure of the labiorrhea representing external features. So and it is the major carp, and it is a fast growing fish, and can satisfy the need of fish protein to much of the extent, and thus it is recommended to grow or culture for the fishery purpose in a pond culture or pisciculture. So we are dealing with the culture aspects. So it breeds in a flooded river during the monsoon period from July to August. So breeding season of the rohu is a monsoon or a rainy season, and it breeds or it undergoes the reproductive activity, that is laying of the gametes or release of the gametes or spawning during the July and August, and fertilization taking place externally in water, and female lays about 2 million number of eggs at a time. Young ones may attain, so after hatching of the fertilized eggs, the small hatchling or the larvae of the fish which grows in a respective freshwater habitat, young ones may attain a length of 45 centimeter, or it may grows up to 60 centimeter and weighs about 675 gram in a 1 year. So this is the growth pattern. This is the growth pattern. Young ones may attain a length up to 45 centimeter, that is 1.5 feet, 1.5 feet, and weighs up to 775 gram, 775 gram in 1 year, and a prize or the young ones with a length of up to 1 feet, called as a prize, may be transported over long distances with a little mortality. A knowledge of relative growth, that is growth pattern, a knowledge of relative growth, maturation and the fecundity is necessary before planning of the fish culture. So, in any case, while performing the fishery practice as a profession or as a side business or a practice, secondary practice or a secondary business along with the agricultural practice, this needs the knowledge of the relative growth. So, while selecting the fish species for the fish culture or the pond culture, a knowledge of relative growth, then maturation and fecundity, that is a reproduction rate of reproduction, that is fecundity, is necessary before planning of the fish culture. Growth depends on the population density and availability of the food. Growth of the fish in the pond or in the fishery resource depends upon population density, right? Growth of the fish depends on the population density and the availability of the food, in the particular water resource or the pond. Fecundity refers to the total number of eggs. Fecundity refers to the total number of eggs contained in the ovary or laid by the female during the breeding season. So, fecundity refers to the total number of eggs present in the ovary or produced by the ovary during the reproductive life. The following description is in a relation with the above parameter during labioculture. So, uh, with uh, uh, with the consideration of the Labio-Rohita or a Rohu culture, that is growth pattern, then maturity and the fecundity. So these are the three parameters are usually considered or used to select the fish species for the pond culture. So this is the description in a relation with the above parameters, that is the relative growth, maturation and the fecundity with respect to the labioculture. Rohu grows very fast. Actually, all the three fishes, that is Rohu, Katla and Mrugal, all are major carps belonging to same classification, that is belonging to class Pisces. Then belongs to family Cyprinidae, and all the three are bony fishes and are major carps and the fast growing. There is a little difference in their relative growth. There is a little difference in their relative growth, and thus are commonly cultured or grown for the purpose of pisciculture or the pond culture. So, Rohu grows very fast and but is relatively little slower than the Katla. Rohu grows very fast, but its growth is relatively little, its growth is relatively little slower than the Katla. Means the Katla is the fast growing fish among the three type of freshwater forms or the carps. Katla is fast growing, or it is at the number one with respect to its growth rate, right? So the Katla grows fast, then Rohu, and then the Mrugal. So this is what the sequence of the growth pattern or the relative growth. So relative growth is maximum in the Katla. Then next number is of Ruhu, and third one, that is a Mrigal. So Rohu grows very fast but is relatively little slower in a growth than the Katla. The hatchlings of the Rohu, hatchling means the young ones or the larvae which are hatching or emerging out of the fertilized eggs during the development, called as hatchlings. So the young ones, small larval forms called as hatchlings. The hatchlings of the Rohu, when stocked or when grown at the rate of 10 to 12.5 lakh per hectare, grows to a length of 25 to 30 millimeter in 15 days. So this is the growth rate. This is the growth rate. The population density of the Rohu is 10 to 12.5 lakh, 10 lakh to 12.5 lakh per hectare, and it grows to a length of 25 to 30 millimeter, that is 2.5 to 3 centimeter, 2.5 to 3 centimeter in a 15 days, and the survival rate is 50%, and the survival rate is 50%. According to Hora and Pillay, according to Hora and Pillay, in a 1962, according to Hora and Pillay, in a 1962, Rohu grows to a length of 35 to 45 centimeter and weighs up to 900 gram in 1 year. According to Hora, 1962, Rohu grows to a length of 35 to 45 centimeter, 35 to 45 centimeter means 1 feet to 1.5 feet, and weighs with a weight of 900 gram in 1 year, 2 to 3 kg in the second year, 2 to 3 kilograms in the second year, and 5.4 kilogram by the third year. So this is the growth pattern of the Rohu with a maintenance of all the parameters to the optimum level. So when adequate food present in the pond, population density is 10 to 12.5 lakhs per hectare, and all other conditions, that is quality of the water, then organic, inorganic feed, or the aquatic plants, that is algae, which are present with a adequate or optimum level, and the population density with a 10 to 12.5 lakh per hectare, and according to Hora and Pillay, in 1962, Rohu grows to a length of 35 to 45 centimeter, that is 1 to 1.5 feet in a length, and weighs up to, with a weight of 900 gram, that is up to 1 kg in 1 year, then 2 to 3 kg in the second year, and 5.4 kg by the third year. So this is the relative growth of the Rohu with the ideal conditions of the pond, with the ideal or the optimum conditions of the pond. This species attains sexual maturity when is about 2 year old. So when the individuals, that is males or females, males or the females of the Rohu, they attain sexual maturity and continues the breeding or reproduction, breeding activities or the reproduction when they are about 2 year old. But specimen from induced breed stock, but the specimen from induced breed stock, that is if we are implementing or using the induced breeding technique, it is observed that the Rohu, that is males or females, become mature in a 1 year. So this is the sexual maturity. Usually or the normally, naturally, the ruhu grows and become mature within a 2 year. But with the use of induced breeding technique, we can attain or achieve their sexual maturity in 1 year. The absolute fecundity of the ruhu, the absolute fecundity of the ruhu, that is total quantity of eggs, total number of eggs produced or present in the ovary, produced by the ovary or present in the ovary, that is a absolute fecundity, means the total number of ova or the eggs contained into the ovary, that is absolute fecundity. And in a ruhu it is ranging from 51 to 75 centimeter, that is 1.5 to 1.6 kg weight. So the absolute fecundity of the female, the absolute fecundity of the female of the ruhu with a size of 51 to 75 centimeter length or with a weight of 1.5 to 1.6 kg weight was found to vary from 2,25,600, varies from 2 lakh 25,600 to 27 lakh 94,000 eggs. So this is the absolute fecundity of the ruhu or the female of the ruhu. Absolute fecundity of the female of the ruhu having length of 51 to 75 centimeter or with a weight of 1.5 to 1.6 kg was found to vary from ranging from 2,25,600 to 27 lakh 94,000 eggs in the ovary. The average number of ova per gram of dry weight, the average number of ova per gram of dry weight was found to be 1,258. The average number of ova per gram of the dry body weight was found to be 1,258, and the number of eggs per gram of the ovary was 271, right? So this is about the fecundity, and all these parameters which we have explained in a later phase of our lecture, that is relative growth, sexual maturity, and the fecundity. So these are the three important parameters or the factors are very important, and which should be considered while selecting the fish species for the pond culture or for the purpose of commercial practice of the fisheries. So this is about the first freshwater form, that is Labeo rohita. So with this, today we'll stop here, and next time we'll continue the second freshwater form, that is Katla katla. Thank you.